In a world fraught with geopolitical chess moves, where do the great powers stand as we navigate through 2024? Imagine the world as a vast chessboard, each nation a strategic player with its own set of goals and tactics. At the heart of this intricate game lies the concept of the global chessboard, a metaphor that captures the ongoing struggle for power and influence among the world's great powers. Understanding this dynamic is crucial, as it shapes the international landscape and affects every nation involved. The global chessboard is not just about conflict, it is also about cooperation, alliances, and sometimes precarious balances of power. As nations move their pieces across this board, they engage in a complex dance of diplomacy, economic sanctions, military maneuvers, and propaganda. The stakes are high and the outcomes are uncertain. Every move can alter the course of international relations, making the understanding of these dynamics not just an academic exercise, but a necessity for anyone concerned with the future of global affairs. To decipher this complex interplay, we turn to the insights of Professor John Mearsheimer, a prominent thinker in international relations. As the dragon rises, the world watches with bated breath. But what does this mean for global stability? The ascent of China as a global superpower is a phenomenon that has captured the attention of international relations scholars around the world. Among them, Professor John Mearsheimer, a prominent realist theorist, offers a compelling analysis of what China's rise means for the current and future landscape of global politics. Mearsheimer posits that China's rapid economic growth and expanding military capabilities are reshaping the power dynamics that have been dominated by the United States since the end of the Cold War. As China grows stronger, it naturally seeks to assert its influence in its regional neighborhood and beyond, challenging the American-led order. This shift, according to Mearsheimer, inevitably leads to a recalibration of global power balances. A critical area of concern that Mearsheimer highlights is the South China Sea. This region, a vital artery for international trade, has become a hotbed of tension due to overlapping territorial claims. China's militarization of islands in the South China Sea and its assertion of sovereignty over these waters have sparked apprehensions among neighboring countries and the United States, raising the specter of military confrontations. Another significant flashpoint is Taiwan. Mearsheimer views the island as a focal point in the Sino-American rivalry. The commitment of the United States to Taiwan's defense, juxtaposed with China's claim over the island as a breakaway province, could, under certain circumstances, spiral into a direct conflict between China and the United States. Mearsheimer's analysis is grounded in the historical concept of the Thucydides trap, which posits that a rising power and a ruling hegemon are likely to end up in war. He argues that as China continues to ascend, the likelihood of it challenging the existing world order increases, potentially leading to a clash with the current hegemon, the United States. Mearsheimer warns that the Thucydides trap could spring, leading to a potential confrontation between rising powers and established hegemons. Amidst a backdrop of sanctions and political isolation, how does Russia carve its path on the global stage? Professor John Mearsheimer views Russia's global maneuvers through a realist lens, emphasizing the country's pursuit of power and security in a world where it often feels cornered. In Eastern Europe, Russia's actions, particularly in Ukraine, are seen not merely as aggressions, but as strategic moves to prevent NATO's eastward expansion. Mearsheimer argues that the crux of the Ukraine crisis lies in NATO's doorstep approach to Russia's borders, which Moscow perceives as a direct threat to its sphere of influence and national security. Moving to the Middle East, Russia's involvement in Syria and its alliances with Iran are interpreted as efforts to assert its influence and counterbalance U.S. dominance in the region. These actions are not just about projecting power, but also about creating strategic depth and securing its southern flank against potential threats. Mearsheimer suggests that the West often misunderstands Russia's motivations. While the West views these actions as purely aggressive, Russia sees them as essential for its survival and respect on the global stage. It's a classic security dilemma where the defensive actions of one party are viewed as threatening by another, thus escalating tensions. The expansion of NATO and the EU into Eastern Europe, coupled with sanctions, only deepen Russia's insecurities and push it toward more assertive policies. Mearsheimer posits that Russia seeks respect and security, driving its actions in a fraught international arena. As the world's long-standing policeman, how does America respond to shifting sands under its feet? Professor John Mearsheimer offers a piercing critique of American foreign policy, particularly highlighting its strategic pivot to Asia and continuing entanglements in Middle Eastern conflicts. This shift, according to Mearsheimer, reflects a reactive rather than a proactive stance in a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. In his analysis, Mearsheimer points out that the pivot to Asia is largely driven by the rise of China as a major global power. This maneuver aims to counterbalance China's growing influence, especially in the South China Sea and beyond. However, this pivot isn't just a matter of military posturing, but involves deep economic, technological, and diplomatic strategies. The challenge here is immense, engaging with a region that is quickly becoming the world's economic center while managing a delicate balance of power. Meanwhile, America's involvement in the Middle East continues to draw criticism. Mearsheimer argues that these conflicts have cost not only trillions of dollars, but also global credibility. The American public questions the sustainability of such engagements, which often appear to have no clear end game, thereby straining America's capacity to manage other rising global issues. The crux of the issue, as Mearsheimer sees it, is America's struggle to maintain its global hegemony in a world that is no longer unipolar, but increasingly multipolar. With new regional powers emerging, the United States faces the intricate task of recalibrating its foreign policy to not only respond to immediate threats, but also to anticipate future challenges. According to Mearsheimer, America must recalibrate its strategy to effectively manage emerging global challenges. Unity or fragmentation? What future awaits the European Union in this turbulent era? As we explore the European Union's path forward, Professor John Mearsheimer's insights illuminate the complexities of this unique political entity. With the EU standing as a colossal player on the global stage, its internal stability is crucial not just for Europe, but for the world at large. Mearsheimer points to Brexit as a significant stress test for the EU, suggesting that it has exposed underlying fractures within the Union. The departure of the United Kingdom marked a pivotal moment, raising questions about the allure and sustainability of the EU model. This event has reverberated across the continent, stirring discussions about national sovereignty versus the benefits of economic and political union. Furthermore, the rise of nationalism in countries like Hungary and Poland presents another layer of complexity. These nations have increasingly adopted policies that clash with the EU's foundational principles of democracy and human rights, challenging the cohesion of the Union. Economic disparities between member states further strain unity. Wealthier nations like Germany and France find themselves at odds with economically weaker states, which struggle with high unemployment rates and sluggish economic growth. These disparities fuel discontent and raise doubts about the equitable nature of the EU system. Mearsheimer argues that these internal divisions, coupled with external pressures such as migration crises and geopolitical tensions with Russia and China, are pushing the EU to a critical juncture. Will it adapt and strengthen, or will it succumb to growing centrifugal forces? Mearsheimer suggests that internal divisions and external pressures could redefine the EU's trajectory. In the heart of every conflict in the Middle East lies a complex web of alliances and enmities. How does Mearsheimer interpret these endless conflicts? Professor John Mearsheimer casts a discerning eye on the Middle East, a region he describes as a perpetual tinderbox. According to Mearsheimer, the persistent instability can be attributed to the strategic maneuvering of key regional players, namely Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, each driven by a quest for regional dominance. Iran, Mearsheimer argues, sees itself as the guardian of Shia Islam, and it extends its influence through proxy groups in countries like Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon. This often puts it at odds with Saudi Arabia, the Sunni powerhouse, which counters Iran's moves by bolstering Sunni counterparts and maintaining a close alliance with the United States. Israel, on the other hand, maintains its security through superior military strength and strategic alliances, particularly with the U.S. Mearsheimer points out that Israel's primary concern is to neutralize perceived threats from its neighbors, leading to a complex interplay of diplomacy and military readiness. The role of the United States in the Middle East is particularly pivotal, Mearsheimer notes. American policies have historically oscillated between active engagement and strategic withdrawal, leaving a significant imprint on the region's stability. The U.S.'s support for Israel, its contentious relationship with Iran, and its complex ties with Saudi Arabia all feed into the region's ongoing conflicts. Mearsheimer sees no easy solutions, pointing to a long road ahead filled with diplomatic challenges. With the chess pieces in motion, what are Professor Mearsheimer's predictions for the near future? As we step into 2024, Professor John Mearsheimer offers a stark yet insightful prognosis of global affairs. His analysis points to a world where the tectonic plates of international politics are shifting, potentially leading to seismic changes. According to Mearsheimer, the rise of China continues to recalibrate power balances, prompting the United States and its allies to rethink their strategies and alliances. Mearsheimer predicts that the Russian Conundrum will persist, with Moscow seeking ways to assert its influence despite facing numerous challenges. This could lead to heightened tensions in regions like Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Meanwhile, the European Union may face its own set of trials as it navigates internal divisions and external pressures. Most critically, Mearsheimer foresees a year where geopolitical shifts could lead to conflicts that test the resilience of global diplomacy and peacekeeping efforts. His insights suggest that understanding the undercurrents of these dynamics is not just an academic exercise, but a necessity. In the view of John Mearsheimer, understanding these dynamics is crucial for navigating the uncertainties of our global future.